What is up, you guys? Happy new moon in Cancer. This is the seed level of the month of Leo. So in the Kabbalistic calendar, this is considered the new moon of Leo. And Kabbalistically speaking, the new moon of Leo starts a 9-day portal that opens us up to sort of a trial of initiation, a testing period. And it is in honor of what is called the 9th of Av, the 9th of Leo. And this is when the temple was the first destruction of the temple. And so it was said that the temple veil was torn, the curtain was torn, and it actually bled. Like one of those Mary statues that cries blood, it actually bled. And so the secret meaning of the torn curtain that bleeds is when we are pouring out our life force and it's going to waste. And so how interesting is it that one of the challenges that Cancers have, or people with prominent Cancer placements, I have a Cancer moon, this is definitely a hot button issue for me, is that if they don't know how to recognize and discern and work with their empathic nature, that they will be sort of a source of food for energy vampires, right? You leak out your energy because someone else wants you to come do something, and you want to people please, or you're leaking out your energy, over giving to people that aren't returning, they're not reciprocating. It's like a one-sided thing. But either way, the Cancer sign is so watery and open. Water can take any shape, right? If it has boundary, if it has a container. So, sometimes the water signs find their container within something or someone else. And so it's our challenge to be able to create our own boundaries and our own framework it's almost like a skeleton for our own soul and heart and personality. Rather than, morph into, someone else or everyone else's needs or everyone else's desires, or insecurity because you're always feeling like you are threatened, and so you're always trying to people please and stay in good graces. So that can be a challenge for Cancers, but when we recognize our empathic abilities and we're able to discern what is us and what is other, and then we can also build the strength and the resolve to respect our own limits and boundaries and be able to comfortably and productively communicate those to others effectively without becoming emotional and reactive and having that be a combustible and triggering situation. So during this 9-day period of the 9 days of Av, the 9th of Av, we are taken through this testing period where the light will be concealed. There's like this teaching in the Torah over this week about how the challenge is can you have the same consciousness and be the same vessel that reflects the image of the consciousness of God, whether or not it is night or day? Can you worship God and love God whether it is night or day? Can you be trusting and faithful in God whether it is night or day? So what is night or day? Night is when the light in your life is concealed. When there's no results, it's frustrating. You are stressed. You're coming to the end of the budget. Nothing is guaranteed. Your soul is tired and weary. Your body might be tired from fighting a battle. Whatever it might be, it's like you're not in fulfillment. You're not in inner peace. You don't feel that rest. You don't feel that satisfaction that all is in its right place. So the nighttime is the time of testing, the time of uncertainty. And it's in those times where we really show our true colors. What kind of person are we really? Are we able to maintain patience and kindness and an open heart and trust and faith and surrender during times of uncertainty? Or do we become snippy and distressed and reactive and panicked? And do we try to micromanage and control everything, to cling to a false sense of security? Trusting and surrendering doesn't look like not taking action, but what it looks like is as you take that action and move through, the world, you can let go and not cling to controlling every aspect, and you can trust the process to unfold and for divine grace to carry it to some degree. And you can trust also that if something doesn't go as planned or a variable comes up, as life presents many times, that you'll be able to navigate that and weather that storm because you're tenacious, flexible, and resourceful, right? So the test is not to become reactive or fall apart during this period. There's also an aspect of going into Leo season, and the destruction of the temple happened as a result of the contamination of our consciousness and the contamination of our heart to lean into our own selfish inclinations and our desire to receive, instant gratification, receive for the self alone, and we were becoming negative and divided and divisive. And so the temple, the covenant, our consciousness that we adopted to be close to the Creator, to build a close relationship or a close connection or a close proximity with the Creator, to shine that light through us, right? That's the Shekhinah, the Spirit of God coming through each of our soul, right? So we have to awaken and illuminate and reveal that light of our soul. Otherwise it gets shrouded behind layers of negativity and fear and doubts and limiting beliefs and contaminated consciousness, essentially. So the breaking down of the temple, was like the result of that contamination of consciousness. So what we are doing proactively during these 9 days is allowing our ego, the false temple, to be broken down, and our fleshly inclinations and our animal-like instincts for self-preservation. We're letting those things go. And you know how like Leo, they love in their best, they're like magnetic and magnanimous, and they draw a lot of attention with their radiance, and they're good leaders, and they want what's fair, and they take up for the underdog. They're the person that stands up to the bully on behalf of the oppressed, right? So they want to stand up for what's fair and what's just, and they are all about respect. And they want to be respected, and they are respectful, or they can be. And they tend to have kind of an ego about them, and they like the spotlight, but that's because when used properly, not for their own gratification, for their ego's inflation, but for the sake of good, that can be used in incredibly positive ways. So we can see through the way that the world has been playing out over the last couple of years, when people have out of control egos, how destructive that is, and how when they need all that validation and that ego inflammation, it can lead them to resort to doing just about anything, and so it's a destructive force. And it can be used and magnified in ways to get into power, to get into the spotlight, for one's own gain, right? That's the shadow self, right? And I need to be respected, and you better respect me or else, right? That's that Leo falling into the shadow nature. Whereas the ego in its great, powerful, positive nature is, I would like to maybe think of some celebrity that would be a good example, like an Angelina Jolie, but she's not really that, she's kind of an introvert, but say U2 is a band that is, worldwide, first class, celebrity band, right? But they're known for their charity and their goodwill and using their platform to speak positively about others. I would even use Sinead O'Connor, but and she's a very nuanced example of this, because people like Angelina Jolie and Sinead O'Connor might initially shrink back because they have sort of kind of intense, kind of brooding nature. Sometimes they kind of seem like they might want to be reclusive or more introverted, but they are also, they have a healthy enough ego to take up the space that they deserve in the room, right? In the context of where they are working and creating and sharing, and they always use it to platform some important, need for orphaned children many times in both of their cases. So, we have a chance through this like sort of initiative period to go through the pressure, to go through the tests, to feel our inclination to be the shadow lion and to do something selfish, or to be offended, or, to pop off, or to really get, victimized about something. The ego is going to get bruised. But the key this week is to really lean in and be so humble that even if somebody said something that was totally whack, way off base, they stepped, they're tripping, right? Like, be like, oh man, wow, like, God, is there any truth in this? Like, don't immediately dismiss it, even if it's not true. You can take it with a grain of salt, right? Maybe that person doesn't know what they're talking about, right? But it's the key that we have the humility. Like, our feathers aren't ruffled because we're secure in our identity in the Creator, not necessarily ourself, right? That's the fragile ego. It's when it's all up to us and it's all because of us, oh, you got to give me credit. I did this, this is mine. I own this, and all that. And that just invites, that kind of challenge to the ego, challenge to that ownership, right? But when we're like, I'm really here to be a lamppost for the light of the Creator, and I am here to be of service to He who sent me, and I will do and go and say, and just show me where to go, what to do, what to say, and to whom, which is one of the lessons in the Course in Miracles that I just butchered. So, according to Gregorian calendar, we are in that Cancer new moon, and it's giving us a lot of clarity because of this recent Mercury Cazimi. A lot of clarity around how we can take, or how we desire to take better care of ourselves. What do we need to change to develop like true sense of security, long-term value? How do we heal our own internal emotions and our relationship with those, and our ability to set boundaries so that our intimate relationships can be healthy and thrive, and we can learn to build trust with others? One of the recent lessons in one of my Kabbalah classes was really interesting. See, this is why you need to keep a student's mind, because every time I loop through like Kabbalah 1 through 9, I don't know if they have Kabbalah 10. I can't remember if I've taken that one. But I never think, oh, well, I guess I've taken all the Kabbalah classes. I just start again, or whatever class they're offering, whether it's Kabbalah 1 or Kabbalah 3 or Kabbalah 2. It doesn't matter how many times I've taken a class, even with the same teacher. There's always new things to learn, always new wisdom being revealed. And so I was in a Kabbalah 2 class, and with a teacher that I haven't had before, but I recognized him from the holidays and things from the center. And I always found him interesting and insightful then. But we were in class. What was the point I was getting at? In Kabbalah 2. Oh, we were talking about what it looks like to have an open heart versus a closed heart. And I didn't have any real strong memories of any of my teachers talking about this, because usually like lessons, the main point of the lesson will really stick with me and I'll have a memory of it. But I was like, wow, this feels like I can't, either it's been a long time since I've heard anybody say this, or it was new information. But he was just talking about how if you feel like you can't speak your truth and be heard, it's not safe to do that, then that's one of the things that's going to shut your heart down. If you can't trust someone and you don't feel like they have your better interests at heart, like your heart's going to be shut off. If you feel like you are ignored and your needs don't matter, that shuts your heart down. And there was a list of different things that looked like having a closed heart versus an open heart. And so when we close our heart, it closes us off to receiving in general. Doesn't matter that the closed heart is for a specific reason or towards a specific thing or idea or institution or person. It's closed down, period. Now, it doesn't mean we have to open ourselves up to every influence. That's not what I'm saying, but having a shut down heart simply closes the container. And so opening the heart, doing heart opening exercises and practices and disciplines and setting your intention, and when I say disciplines, I mean like as you're going through the day and you come up in one of those moments where you're like, oh, do I feel like an inner conflict here about what I should do or if I should say anything or not? And is this a moment where I'm shrinking back and shutting down my heart to keep everything at the status quo or to prevent, like ruffling feathers? Or is there, a negative reason why I'm being quiet? Does it go beyond just being consciously practicing restriction and restraint, or am I silencing and shrinking myself, right? So, choosing in those moments to examine what's going on and challenge yourself to really be brutally honest, and then ask the creator, what maybe the light would do in the situation. How can this reveal more light? How can I reveal more light? What answer here would reveal more light in the situation? Sometimes that's having difficult, honest conversations because they need to be had, because if we sit in silence, then things stew and in bitterness, and they go sour and they go septic, right? So sometimes what looks like being submissive and agreeable is that Cancer tendency to people please, right? And it's not coming from a place of integrity, but it's coming from a place that's trying to keep the peace, but it's a false peace. All right, counterfeit peace. Okay, so Cancer's a water sign. It's associated with the moon and the reproductive organs, and I've been having lower stomach tract things over the last couple of days. You might notice that my energy is low. I don't know if I have the thing that's happening. I think it's just a coincidence. But either way, I'm gonna switch to maybe some good old carbonara this week. I'm gonna make some pasta that doesn't have any fresh vegetables in it. I'm gonna indulge. I'm gonna go to the store, get the ingredients. Yeah, I took a cut tonight because I was just wiped out. Went through some episodes last night and this morning, and I'm just feeble, but I'm on the mend. All right, so let's pull some cards. Let's get into our reading. So the first card is going to represent us in the context of this moment for the new moon. And remember the difference, this isn't the only difference, but with the new moon, the energy is like seeding the whole month ahead. Whereas when we have that full moon, that waning energy is like that 2-week period that full moon is most potent, but the lunations play out over 6-month cycles. But just keeping in mind that it's not just the waxing period that the new moon has an effect over, although that is the most potent time to start doing initiative actions as the light is growing. But yeah, the new moon energy affects the entire month. Okay, so the context of us in this moment is forgiveness is what is being asked for. So think about that cleansing water, the emotional space of Cancer, the clarity and purge that we are going through. And literally, I feel the physicality of a lunation sometimes, so I thought about that today. But Jupiter just left Cancer, and so what I felt came with it was like when Jupiter was in Cancer, it was magnifying all of our emotions, and it was making everything really intensified so we could read them very clearly. Now, when Jupiter left Cancer recently and moved into Leo, like the fun, playful, fiery Leo, it's like it's not going without slamming the door and making a scene. It's kind of like I feel the energy just being torn at as it's walking into Leo, so that it yanks the rest of the residue out of us so we can finally have a good time. Like, think about the energy of, like, okay, I'm gonna tell you a parable of Chobani, Dasani, and Alani, the Valley Girls, and they're gonna go on spring break. And Chobani has been depressed. She has been down. She has not been glamming up. She has been in the rut and in the dumps, down in the dumps, because Chobani's boyfriend broke up with her. And she's brokenhearted and she's stewing and she's having all these emotions, and it's been too long. She needs to go get her hair done. Her roots are past their moment of reset. Like, you know, she's getting scraggly. The girls want to go on a vacation. Alani and Dasani are like on a 3-way call with her, and they're like, Chobani. And Chobani's like, what? And they're like, Dasani and Alani, we need to talk to you, okay? We decided that we need to confront you, and you need to shake off all this emotional baggage and weight, because it's dragging you down. It's shrouding your aura, and you're just like, you're losing your magnetism over, you know, the past, and it's not worth it. You don't need to be bitter. You know, it's like, yes, he was a dog and he did all these horrible things. Brad did all these terrible things, but Chobani, like, you've got to like pull yourself together and be hot again. Right? And so they're ready to go on hot girl spring break or summer break or whatever, go down to the beach and like have fun and like, you know, like throw their cares to the wind. And yes, Chobani has tried to move on. She has been dating a little bit. She has been doing, you know, some light hot girl summer activities. She's been going on hot girl walks. She's, you know, been cooking and gardening, but she's not really been, you know, the stuff's still hanging around, and there may be even things that she wants to avoid fully looking at, so that she can have like something to cling to and something nostalgic about what Brad brought to her. And Chobani, oh my God, like my life is Chobani will never be the same. So the girls, Dasani and Alani, want to, you know, kind of like confront her and shake it out of her. And just like my late best friend told me one time, he goes, Trix, how many days do you need to really wallow in this to get this guy out of your system? You know, 3, 4? And I was like, probably not. He's like, if you really just like went ham and like just cried as hard as you can, like just a shameful level of over dramatic, like how long do you think it's going to get your purges out? And I was like, oh, like 16 to 18 hours or something like that. He was like, well, do it and wash that man out of your hair. And so that is what I feel like is happening. This is Chobani finally washing Brad out of her hair, and then joining Alani and Dasani in their convertible with the top down, and they're gonna drive too fast to their beach trip and be total hoes and have a good time. So that is the energy that I feel right now. Like Jupiter leaving Cancer is like all of our, and it's not just, I'm not just talking about like a romantic breakup. I'm just using that as an example for this ridiculous parable of Chobani, Dasani, and Alani. But the point is that all of the, and it's a lot of it is early childhood stuff. A lot of it is stuff with parents, like the Capricorn lunation recently, the Cancer season, like mother-father issues, early childhood conditioning, our ability to have that inner child be able to shine bright and play free, right? Like Leo. So all this is connected. It's like mother, father, child, right? So, you know, getting the ego out of the way, getting the wounded child out of the way, not getting out of the way, but like integrating the healed, repaired versions of that, and then letting go of the sourness. It's not like you're saying that what happened or the things that you remember aren't true or were okay or whatever, but it's like once you get on the other side of it and you have transformed into a new creature, you're like, okay, I am feeling, you feel a little bit less bitter about it, because you're like, okay, I went through this, I learned from it, I've grown from it, I'm stronger, I've processed it, and now you lose layer and layer and layer of bitterness until finally one day you're like, I appreciate what happened. I don't love the experience, and I don't say that person was right, but I can appreciate what being on the other side of it has given me now that I've grown through it, and I have hindsight to look back. I can appreciate what the opportunity allowed for me. But that's not always the case, right? That depends on our consciousness, because if we cling to the identity of a victim, and I've been victimized, and even though it might be true and justified, and I'm going to cling to this bitterness and rage, it's just keeping your own light hidden and your own forward progress stagnant. So it's not helping you to keep those feelings, although that you might be correct and justified. It's about trying to transcend and get to the other side of them, and take comfort in knowing that it's not you saying that you agree with what someone did, or you put your stamp of approval, or you endorse that kind of behavior or those values or anything like that. But you're like, oh, okay, this made me into this person, and without that experience I wouldn't have known, right? It's like Monty Mader is a good example of a public figure that has made her story well known. She grew up in like an extremist, like Christian nationalist family, and she went through different types of abuse in that family, having come through the full kind of climactic, I am totally buying into this ideology that I was raised in, to having a moment of lightning strike clarity because of an event that happened in her family. And then her totally changing her consciousness and trying to repair and dedicate her life to actually helping kind of speak to what she went through, to try to awaken other people and help them and kind of educate them as well. Like, that is the kind of thing where she can be grateful now for what she went through, because she's now let that be a positive transformation. It's not that she endorses what she was raised in, or that she agrees with the way that her father treated her and her siblings, but she understands that without that origin story, she would never be in the position she is now, as serving the purpose that she is now, if that makes sense. So forgiveness is what is being asked for. We can release that weight so that it will no longer have such a flavor over our whole life. Being free to move forward and feel relief, because when you have an inner turmoil going on inside, no matter how well the other parts of your life are lining up, even if all the other circumstances are great, you still can't feel fully fulfilled because you have this inner turmoil going on underneath it all. So what's crossing us now is a lesson that we're meant to repeat. See, cycles of initiation and tests. So natural cycles, growth, going deeper. This is going into a next level. Everything is fine. You're meant to learn something from this. So again, this is we're exactly where we're supposed to be. And this moment is bringing up the perfect tests for us. And I think that, it helps when we start to look at the tests as just like we would if we were going to get a prestigious Ivy League education. The tests that we go through are for the benefit of our spiritual education. What is the underlying influence here? We've got, this is part of the journey. Oh my gosh, I love that. So it's not, this is so straightforward. It's like, okay, what is it influencing all of this? What is the subconscious influence here? It's like, this is a plot point in the script that would be unavoidable. So embracing this moment to draw all the information that we can from it is what is really gonna help us in the long run. Like, a lot of the astrologers were also saying that, like, this isn't like a good time, and this is what we were being told in Kabbalah class and everything too, and through the Kabbalah centers, that this isn't like during these 3 weeks, it's like the most negative time of year. So it's not good. And like the 3 weeks kind of blends into like the 9 days. So I'm not sure how many days it is when it's all bookended together. But it's kind of like everything's an upheaval vibrationally. So it's just not a good time to start anything, but it's a good time to heal things and observe things and learn from, doing the inner work, right? And learning from your own experience and process. So the lesson from the past that's still kind of affecting us, that's beginning to clear up and not be such an issue, is paying attention to red flags. So maybe in the past we ignored the red flags, because another thing about the empathic gifts of Cancer is that they're also highly intuitive and like very psychic. So a lot of times we are very hypersensitive to red flags, and we will gaslight ourselves and be like, maybe this is me blowing everything out of proportion again, because I'm a Cancer. I have Cancer moon. So it's very intensified, very magnified. It's like everything is so saturated. So sometimes you catch red flags so early before anybody else would see it. And so then you second guess yourself, you dismiss. You're like, oh, maybe I'm looking for something that's not there. Maybe I'm projecting. So it is really has been a journey and a discipline in learning how to discern when we are right on the money and we are feeling the empathic, like spidey senses of reading someone's vibe off their aura by the way that they make you feel. You can feel their energy. Knowing when the emotional weather is coming from the other person rather than inside of you, but you can feel it, but like seeing those red flags and trusting, and then knowing too how to discern when that is maybe just past conditioning and fears and limiting beliefs that you're projecting in an attempt to, protect oneself. Okay, so what is crowning us then? You need a partner. So having a mirror to do, to see yourself through. And that's what other people are that come and go through our life. Now, maybe there is something coming that we have a project, or we have something that we are putting our focus and energy into, or there's something that we have a sense of purpose with, that maybe we're going to have an element of partnership. Maybe someone is going to add to what we're doing and come and collaborate. Maybe this is having someone as far as like a life partnership, like a romantic partner coming in, or maybe it is like a deep friendship that's going to provide you a lot of support, like a partnership. But something about this next level of growth, it's like we need a partner to make the most of this. So a partner will help you take this further, share the load, get help, people with complementing skills, incorporating a supportive element. So that could be, incorporating a supportive element into your workflow or something of that nature. As long as it's not AI. I am highly against AI in any form that it comes in that you can avoid. All right, so what is coming around the corner? Keep the love tank full. That is perfect for this Cancer new moon and being more aware of what we need to feel to take better care of ourselves. Not just to feel better taken care of, but what do we legitimately need in order to be better taken care of? Like today, I was like so insecure about taking the cut from work, even though I was sick and I needed a sick day. And I was just like, the common person that has paid sick days, they would very likely call out today and give themselves grace to take some rest. Now it's different when you're considering the fact that you don't make money unless you show up at work, but I trust that God knows what I need to get by. And as long as I'm not making a lifestyle of living recklessly and being lazy, then God knows my heart. He knows I don't feel good. So he will provide, right? Make a way. And even after the fact that I had resolutely decided to just go ahead and take the cut, I thought, okay, I wonder if I can get up enough energy to just like clean my bathroom downstairs. That was one of the things I wanted to do today. I didn't want it to be a complete wash. I was like, maybe I can start gently moving through the day. And so even after I just got the bathroom cleaned and I was able to do that and put a load of laundry in, I was like, well, maybe I could have made it through the shift. And then I said to myself, would you have wanted to run as hard as you could for the next 8 hours, work really hard, set up the dining room, take care of people, answer like long-winded questions that people, are putting you through the paces while you're getting double sat over there. Like, do you want to handle that today? And then just thought of it, made me want to throw up. And I'm like, okay, then continue to be graceful and gentle with yourself and don't beat yourself up over needing the sick day. Okay, so keep the love tank full. What does that mean? Do you need to do more reading? Do you want to, make more plans with the people that you love? Like, what is it that you need to keep your love tank full? And care for yourself. So the perspective that's affecting us right now is say what you've been needing to say. So again, talking about that open heart versus a closed heart. If you can't say what you've been needing to say, then it's shutting your heart down and it's hurting your heart and damaging your heart. And there is a proactive way to bring something up. In Kabbalah, we learned that you need to have permission from the Creator to bring this up, that your consciousness needs to be coming from a constructive perspective rather than a destructive reason. Like, this has to be to reveal more light, not to satisfy your ego. And is it the right timing, or would there be more appropriate timing in another point? Is there a vessel to receive this information? Like, can this person be open to taking this input, or is this just going to cause conflict and damage? So there are ways, and then the final step is to, once you feel like there is a clearance to go ahead and bring this subject up, you can prepare ahead of time by praying and meditating on meeting with this person and pouring your heart out, saying what you need to say, practicing in your mind and in your soul, having that emotional control during the conversation over yourself, and being able to have it maybe a structure around how you deliver this, so it won't be like violent language, not like obviously violent language, but there's like a way to have healthy dialogue. Obviously I was not trained in, it requires you to take responsibility for your own side of the fence. Like, I was hurt when, not you hurt me when, kind of thing, right? So if you can try to prepare yourself with that kind of gentler language and framing, and pray about it ahead of time, visualize it. And basically what that does is you are kind of meeting this person soul to soul in the heart space and preparing the ground to be fertile if and when the conversation does come up. Now, after doing the work in the astral realm, soul to soul, in the heart space, you could actually have repaired it there, and the conversation may not end up needing to happen, and the circumstances could start to resolve on their own, seemingly on their own. All right, so how the outside world, how life, material life, and others are affecting you at this moment. What do we have? This is an issue of self-love. So however you feel that the world is treating you right now, or that others are treating you, is a reflection of how we show love to ourselves. And that is a hard pill to swallow many times, but a lot of us understand this intellectually, but then we need to see it in action and have that revelation at a core level. And it happened to me one night or one day when I was like, man, why do I attract like flaky men who like don't honor their word? Like they don't do what they say. Like they're very like unreliable. And they break they're not very trustworthy. And just like, even in basic things, just like following through with what they said they were going to do. And then it struck me that is how I was like, how am I treating myself like this? How am I this way if they're a reflection to me? And it was when I wasn't able to keep my own boundaries and limits with myself, when I didn't follow through and keep promises to myself, when it came to like being more disciplined around my like sleep and wake times or whatever, in order to like rearrange my day in a more productive way. Like I kept saying I was going to do it, but I didn't do it, or I put it off, or I kept flaking out, or instead of just being honest with myself and being realistic, I kept saying like, oh yeah, it'll be, I'll do that, and not doing it. And being, and essentially lying to myself and conning myself and being a terrible, like force of influence to myself. And I'm like, what if a person was treating me like this? I would be like, this is super shitty, but you don't see it when you're doing it to yourself. So yes, this is an issue of self-love. So, following through on the things that mean something to you, that are important to you, that keep your love tank full, keeping promises to yourself, thinking about what's good for you in the long run, or praying, that God has the greater vantage point than you do. So what's in my highest good? What has enduring value? Steer me in that direction. So our hopes and fears, the destiny you choose was the card that came up, and there was another one stuck to it and I put it down, but it says save your money. So why spending and saving? So I think that's always a good idea, but to be mindful and responsible with the way that you use your money, with the way that you save and grow your money right now. Maybe don't do anything like impulsive or reckless. Maybe big purchases or impulse spending should be put on pause for now, because you'll have something important that you want to save up for. And also the destiny you choose, your free will is the most sacred divine gift and power. Like basically what we were talking about earlier. As it's easy to be kind and generous during the day when you have, everything is certain and you have a steady income and you're not challenged and you're not in dire straits. It's easy to be kind and patient then when you're having a wonderful day and everything's going well. It's totally different to have that same generosity when you don't make a check that week. But somebody's kind of depending on that, and it's not exactly going to throw you out on the street to give that money, but it is a challenge. It makes you nervous. Can you do that in that moment? Can you be kind when, things aren't easy, right? Because it's really easy when everything is just going hunky-dory to be this bright, shining unicorn, right? But it's a totally other achievement when you can maintain your grace in moments of darkness. And that is literally when we choose that consciousness step by step through the day, and then we choose to cultivate our thoughts and our feelings on purpose, intentionally, because we continue to choose that consciousness, and then we choose how we move and act and navigate the world. That builds our destiny. That is, we are choosing. There are certain things that are just meant to happen, but the way that we navigate those plot points is up to us. And that determines what our story is going to be like. Is it going to be full of mercy and goodness and fulfillment and ease? Or is it going to be full of judgment and calamity because we have sown seeds of negativity? So your free will is the most sacred divine gift and power. Choose with intention. Be the cause, not the effect. Take ownership of your life. Set your course. You do have a choice, and that choice is up to you. Okay. So yes, the hopes and fears, it's like, I think we hope everything will work out and we fear that it won't. And it's like, instead, take a proactive position within your life to steer your course by choosing with wisdom rather than impulse. Okay, and then the likely outcome here, what do we have? Oh, dishonesty. So lying or being lied to, someone is not being honest with you. You are not being honest with yourself or someone else. Inauthentic. So when we go along and people please, that's inauthentic. Just because we're being nice doesn't mean we're authentic. Being authentic is being real, is being the truth. You know, it's being honest about what's going on inside, not just saying what you think someone wants to hear to keep the peace. So you're not being honest with yourself or someone else, inauthentic, avoiding the truth, not being realistic, manipulation, facade, not as things appear, lost in the material illusion. Something is unknown below the surface, loss or theft, getting cheated out of something. So very interesting. And this one is and it's a good match. So I feel like right now with Uranus moving into Gemini, it's like we're getting so much clarity. Things are becoming crystal clear. We're seeing through the ego's illusions and deceptions. We're seeing how we've lied to ourselves. We're seeing how other people used manipulative tactics to control the narrative or steer us in one direction or another. And so I think that all of that is part of all the things that we were talking about earlier that are like bubbling to the surface, that were the emotional work that we couldn't quite face the gravity of it all. But I think that now that we've done a lot of the emotional heavy lifting and we're not so charged, we can see it really clearly and never go back in that direction again, never fall for those same deceptions. And it's helping us getting really honest about the state of things and giving us a new boldness, emboldenedness, and confidence in our own voice and in our truth and in our experience, and that's worthy and that's valuable. You don't have to just silence yourself and get out of the way because everybody else is important. Why are they more important than you? You're not more important than them, you know? So literally that we're here, we're alive, there's a unique reason and a unique position that we have in the world, and it can be shrouded and suppressed through other people's manipulations and lies and deceit, or it can be suppressed by our own manipulation and lies and deceit that we've internalized and then we put on a repeat loop, right? So I think that what's a good match right now is everything that life is kind of like throwing on our path, even if it feels triggering or unfair or whatever. It's exactly what we need in order to see what we need to see, in order to fully heal and shed and move forward and begin this new phase and new level without the shackles of old bitterness. All right, so let's grab a few tarot cards to get some more clarity. Go. We've got Four of Swords. Yep, taking a time out, giving it a rest. This is me. This has literally been me all day. Just like, I don't feel good. What is this? Is this from the lettuce? Oh, not feeling good. I'm not able to work today. So again, like taking a time out to give ourselves time to rest, to be more gentle, to care for ourselves, to care for our soul and our spirit, to fill our tank, resting in trust that everything's going to be fine, to overcome lack consciousness and scarcity consciousness, right? We feel left out in the cold and exposed when we forget that the Creator is our source and knows our every need and is bringing us through this process for a reason. And so again, we can be prepared to be conscious with our money and our resources right now, and also be more conscious about how we're spending our energy. Like the torn curtain earlier, we were talking about bleeding out. Are we spending our time and resources like wasted on activities that don't enrich us, or that don't bring us true joy, or that are actually giving us like these depression hangovers or negativity hangovers afterwards? Are we, using our precious time and resources that are like for instance, are we using our talents for the wrong purpose? Like, for instance, did you go to law school or medical school or become a certain person in a profession or a field because your parents kind of steered you in that direction, but it wasn't your true passion, and now you're like, I'm living a life that was decided for me when I was like 18, and it wasn't what I chose for myself. It's like, this is the clarity that we're gaining to reset, to have something new, have a new beginning. Learning, long study, apprenticeship, refining our skills, refining our trade. This can be a long-term project, long-term study. It can be starting a business, or, beginning a new hobby that you're really getting into. But this is about like focused, concentrated work that's just sort of enduring. It keeps going. But there is like an educational element of this. There's a lot to learn from this venture and this time and this effort that you're putting in. It's going to yield value, and it's like someone that's kind of happy in that workspace too. So maybe something that is going to bring you a lot of peace and fulfillment and ease in your soul, and it is going to help you avoid like scarcity and poverty, but it's going to bring a lot of not only spiritual richness to your life, but maybe even monetary richness, is maybe some kind of craft or skill or gift that you've been neglecting, that you wanted to go back and revisit and embrace again. Not to say that you have to monetize everything that you enjoy or that you like, but for instance, like we were saying before, you might have a purpose that you missed because you wanted to do what society wanted you to do. You were people pleasing and you abandoned yourself. Is there some dear dream that you want to return to that you're maybe reluctant because you're like, oh, is it going to take too long? Am I too old? Is it going to take a lot of resources to put into this? And it's like, just enjoy the process. Make it fun in your mind, and it will feel like a totally different thing if you're excited and it's something good for you. And Three of Pentacles, right? Taking on something, like reaching a level of mastery, putting yourself out there, taking a risk on something, and then people are like, wow, I really recognize your gifts. I really recognize your talents, and I want to give you an opportunity. I want to give you a chance. I want to start working with you. So this is like the transition here. It's like, I've been doing my apprenticeship, or I had an internship, or I've learned this new skill, or I've got a new certification, or something that I've been doing a long time just for myself or as a hobby or whatever, or a small thing. Like now maybe it's got legs to go to the next level, or you have a passion or a desire to maybe see it through to the next level. So very good, very exciting. All right, let's grab an Angel Wisdom Tarot card. Let's see, what do we have here? Ooh, 10 of Wands. So you've been feeling like you've been working too hard and yielding like no results, right? Like when you get the 10 of Wands card, that is the bleeding curtain. It's like expending all of your energy or wasting all of your energy and resources on something that's not giving you any return. That can be putting your energy and your emotion into something, or it can be putting your literal physical resources into something. Working too hard or too many hours. The need for balance in life. Let others help you. Health problems due to stress. Now, I like this depiction of the 10 of Wands because usually it has someone carrying like a big load of like firewood. And they're just continuing to carry it, and they're all tattered in their clothing. But think about this. This is like your future self that it's too heavy to bear. So are you setting yourself up now, thinking of your future self in mind, right? Are you going back to a person that is playing with your heart when you know that you want a long-term relationship with someone who's serious about you? Are you, wasting valuable time on the wrong people there? Are you realizing that you're coming to an end of a career that's not going to age well with you, right? And you're trying to figure out what to do next, but this future self, like maybe there's not going to be enough provision for the future. A lot of people are worried about their retirement right now because of a bunch of different things that have been going on. And so, that could be the case. So as we are kind of evaluating like things that we are considering for a new chapter, are we emboldened to make some long-term choices that feel like a gamble now, but may be very valuable in the long run, very positive decisions to have made. When you think of your future self, will your future self thank you for doing this now? Like literally opening a retirement, starting your a Roth IRA or Roth Gold, or putting your money into like a nice dividend yielding stock, anything to get started. Start with just putting your money in a high yield saving or buying like a CD at the bank or something. That might be just like the first way you get your feet wet, and you start to learn how to plant your money like seeds that will yield growth. And then that will give you more confidence as you're paying off your debt. And then you can make, I like to make sunny day envelopes for myself, where I put like my cash tips into envelopes for my sunny day funds. And if I have any like adult needs that come up, like for instance, like a car thing or unexpected expense or whatever, then I know I can draw out of that and it won't make an impact on my bank account. If I want something, like for instance, my big mirror back there, it was like a few $100s. And so I needed to save for that over time. And it wasn't the kind of purchase that I could just justify making. So it's like, sunny day fund, like things, if there's important purchases, something like that you want for a long time that's going to finish your space or whatever, something special. If there was a course or something that you wanted to take, then you could take money from that and use it for, whatever. I have right now in my envelope, I'm saving up for a hardback set of Zohars. And that's like a 23 volume thing. So it's a few $100s. So I'm getting close there. I almost have enough money. All right. What is our Moonology card for the lunar cycle? What is our moon message? What do we have here? Oh, I love this art. Nothing is yet set in stone. Mutable moon. Y'all, we have never pulled this before. Nothing is set in stone. The situation is adaptable and changeable. So really hone in your intention and all the healing that you're doing. It's like it's processing all of that dark matter into pure energy, right? Energy that is a creation, it's like the stuff of creation that will be redirected into goodness and light being revealed. So I love that. I love this image. Nothing is yet set in stone. Yes. And, that could also too be, kind of a relief too, because it's like, if you're looking at this and feeling that fear of, being in this vulnerable situation as you age, which I find very relatable. I share these concerns myself. It's not like your fate is sealed, right? There's that guy that maybe his name was like Richard Bach. He wrote that book, like Start Late, Finish Rich or whatever. So there's ways to really focus in and build security later as well. And you can try to spread out, your different investments so that it's not all just in one place, right? But yeah, so nothing is set in stone yet. Don't give up because you think it's too late. It's never too late. Never too late. All right, let's grab a few cards. Take a peek into the world of our manifestations and the object of the things that we want to create. Let's see, what do we need to know as far as like making our desires a reality? Contemplation time, yep, not getting out there and planting new seeds, but really contemplating and doing the internal work and the internal shifts and healing, which will bring exponential results in the material. Without that internal shift, all the material change in the world won't stick. And even if it does, it won't yield positive fruits. It will yield chaos, and you won't have the fulfillment. Spend time alone, meditating upon what you truly desire. Next, we have, self-employment. See, something is there. Something is there. Three of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles. So self-employment, you're a born entrepreneur and your business is surrounded by magical opportunities. So don't underestimate your thing. Okay, what does this say? Tranquility, again, it is like, take it easy, spend some time alone. Yesterday, I almost wept watching this little brief video about this woman from, I think like she became like iconic, I think like in the 60s, maybe 70s, but her name was Sister Wendy. And Sister Wendy was a British nun who was also an art historian. And part of her origin story was before she emerged as this iconic art historian with all these interesting and deep interpretations and observations on art, she went into like a Winnebago on the convent grounds in the forest and like went into like a hermitage for like years. It was like an extended period of time, and survived on like seeing maybe one person, like one person like maybe once a week who would bring her milk. She survived on like milk, tea, crackers, like not very much. And she was just out there alone, contemplating, healing, reading, praying, probably looking at art and thinking about all that. And then she emerged, and it's like she just blew up as this cultural icon who I've only recently discovered, but I love watching her talk about different works of art. She's so interesting. So tranquility can be very productive, even though we are, told to be ashamed of it, basically in the Western world. I guess that's true for the Eastern world too, because they have all that pressure on them to be successful as well. I guess it's a pandemic everywhere. It's a problem everywhere in the world. Make time to relax, be still. Actually, it's not a problem in like Italy and France. like those romantic countries in Europe, probably Spain, Portugal, Italy, France, Greece. Like they're not necessarily like grinding the wheel to nothing and burning the midnight oil. They're like, let's have an antipasti and kind of chill for the afternoon. Limoncello. Okay, so make time to relax, be still, and enjoy your solitude, indulging in much needed self-care. I agree. Baths can be so nice. If you have a nice little tub, take a salt bath with some nice herbal smell therapy. What is that? Herbal therapy. Okay, and then positive energy. Surround yourself with positive people and situations and avoid negativity. So yes, especially, over these few weeks of this portal, we become the 5 people that we're closest to. So look at the 5 people that you spend the most time with, and try to proactively surround yourself with people that you want to be more like. And if you are kind of trapped in environments where you can't necessarily control who you're around, then try to seek out positive influences that you can learn from, that you may not have physical access to, but you can, admire and learn from afar, and let them mentor you from afar. right? Even though I don't like physically go to the Kabbalah Center, and even though I do take the Zoom classes, but I work on nights that they have the class, so I always end up watching the replay. But even through having the other students participating in the class and spending that time, even in a second degree way, connecting with the teachers of the Kabbalah Center and the students of the Kabbalah Center, even in a passive sense, it still is a positive influence on me, because I recognize what kind of people they are, and they're good, good people with good values, and they're better than I am. They have more self-control and understanding and grace than I do. So I want to be more like that, right? All right. If I am around people that are also share my negative qualities, they're just going to magnify those in me. Or a person who like probes that negative side of you and is always keeping you antagonized. That's nothing that we need to be around all the time either, because that has its own element of destruction on a person. Romantic life, time to call in the soulmate. Very exciting. Your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations are helping bring you together. So again, that healing time that we're in now, it does reset and recalibrate ourselves to be our true selves. And that makes our magnetism that much more intense as far as attracting others. And the whole heart opening thing, like that will make us more attractive to others as well. I've talked about this recently, and even though like I usually I try to be an appropriate level of cute whenever I'm out and about going about my business, whether I'm going to like Lowe's or Home Depot or the grocery store or farmer's market, or I'm running around the neighborhood, or I'm running through the woods, or walking through the woods rather, gallivanting. I always try to present, I wouldn't mind if I ran into someone that I knew, right? I look decent, I have warm, open energy, and I am aware of who is around me. And it's like sometimes I will go through periods where I will not see an attractive person for weeks and months. Or sometimes like I will, but they'll be like totally in their own zone and they're completely aloof. And so over the past couple of weeks, since I learned that, my teacher brought up that whole observation of the closed heart versus the open heart, and I've just become more aware of it with the intention that I want my heart to be more open. Already that has brought so many more attractive guys across my path in all different places. And not only that, it's like I feel like they're like not in their like hypnotized stupor anymore. It's like the spell has been broken, and all of a sudden like they can see me, I can see them. So it's so interesting how that happens. And it's also happened on the other side of not only me wanting to open my heart, but me like kind of saying things that I would have felt before would have made me seem inconvenient or confrontational, or I'm not being, a good girl, or being submissive, or I'm not being nice, or I'm not being cooperative, or I'm being a cunt, or I'm being a bitch, whatever, all of that self-talk, just in leaning in and just saying it, or setting that boundary, or telling that person no, or blocking that commenter from always just making this such an annoying situation, what have you, doing that, and it's like instantly I'm like magnet superpower, and it's like the attention is even more pronounced. So keep an open mind. Wow, talking about keeping an open heart, keep an open mind. So your soulmate may differ from your usual type and expectations. Now, I can see that being true because a lot of the people that I've ever gone out with were not necessarily the type that in my mind I am looking at and always attracted to. But just not judging a book by its cover in general, I think you would open your heart up in a lot more ways as well. Because, for instance, I had a client get a reading this week, or last week, whenever my days off were last. And this was the kind of person I would not have expected to come to me for a reading. and they were not the type. They were like, I don't want to give away details about them, but like, I just would not have expected this guy, for starters, a man, to be the type of person that would be open to it at all. And like, when we started talking, he's like, you always see there's always like a little house with the psychic neon sign on, and everybody in your small town is like, don't go and do that, that's demonic. And you and all your friends are like, we want to go. You're like, wow, you might think that just because those people aren't responding to something that you might think makes you seem woo-woo to them, it might be because of their own insecurity about people judging them, and their own fears about growing up in those small spaces that don't have the open mind that you've cultivated yet, right? So maybe your open mind sets the way, opens the path for other people to open their mind too. So giving that person a chance and being warm and non-judgmental allowed for me to book this appointment for him. And he ended up having such a wonderful reading and such a wonderful energy, and it was such a pleasant surprise that it fed me a lot too. So I think that if I had judged a book by its cover, I may not have gotten back to him at all. I may have been a lot more kind of nervous or timid or weirded out by the whole thing, and maybe, been in another energy. But I just decided that beforehand, like, just be caring with this tender heart who's trusting you, and who's going to be open and vulnerable, but yeah, keeping an open mind, keeping an open heart. Your soulmate may differ from your usual type and expectation. Now, I wouldn't consider this dude my soulmate, but it makes you think about people have hidden depths and hidden quirks that you may not expect by just looking at them and dismissing them to be not your type. There's like, this is really superficial, but there's a personality, like an online personality, an influencer, an online personality. Like, we've known the term influencer now for quite a while. But he is very wealthy, and he looks like a cartoon of a wealthy person, and he's always in like a really nice 3-piece suit with like suspenders and the full thing, the full regalia all the time. And I would never in a million years like pass this dude on the street and think, oh yeah, I bet I would have a ball with him. He seems like he'd be really fun. I would avoid him like the plague, regardless of how attractive he might be. But like, this guy's just fairly cute, but like, this man is truly surprisingly funny and insightful, and understand, like, he gets it. And you're just like, wow, I would have dismissed based on the looks, and I would have made a lot of assumptions about him. But he turned out to be, a very funny, insightful person, I follow and I enjoy his content. So, just keeping an open mind about people. Worth waiting for. Don't rush this. Don't settle for a warm body because you're anxious and antsy and it's Thirsty Thursday, right? Like, be patient and wait for the right thing. Divine timing is at work in your love life. And so even if the right person comes at the wrong time, it will not play out in an ideal way. You cannot make fine wine from sour grapes. You have to let them come to their right timing in order for that to be, in order to have the right chemistry. So there's a strong magnetic attraction here. So maybe your heart is opening. You're starting to attract attention, and you might actually surprise yourself that you might have really good chemistry with someone that you wouldn't expect. And so maybe keep an open mind and, give people a chance before you dismiss them completely. Like, obviously, if your gut is like, this is a pervert, like, this is a weird person, this is a violent person, listen to that, because I had to cross paths with an individual like that, this year. Not like a person that I was going to date or anything, but just a person who passed through, the way people pass through life. And I thought, this something's not right about this individual. And slowly but surely others started to think so as well. And then it was confirmed that everything that we were like worried about was actually valid and true, because they had like a public record that we saw when we decided to look to see if there was anything that we needed to know about this person. And sure enough, it was there. So listen to those gut instincts, but when you're just, you know, going on your usual bullshit, maybe take a second to give someone a little bit of an open mind, because you might have chemistry and you might not, it might surprise you. All right, now let's get some loving advice from Jesus's mom, Mary, and that card really seemed to want to present itself. Oops, self-respect, R-E-S-P-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-C-T, take care. Nobody knows that part. I honor and love myself through my healthful actions. Very nice. And you know, Cancer is the mother of the zodiac. So Mother Mary is advising us self-love, self-respect. This is off the this is out of control, but this Renaissance painter decided to depict baby Jesus with abs. Was this like, this is the sickness right here. This is like before they could airbrush us, before the manosphere told people to hammer their faces into place. Jesus had abs. Okay. As a baby. All right. And let's grab some loving words from Jesus. Oh, I gotta grab that card so it makes it in. All right, let's see. Let's see if Jesus has some direction for us. Ooh, I am with you always, even until the end of the world. So amazing. So just take comfort in the testing period. Know that everything is just as it should be. Everything in its right place. So I'm with you always, even till the end of the world. And when we cling to that certainty, we know even at night, even when there's no results, even when we can't see the way forward, even when there is explosive diarrhea happening because you ate lettuce, we know that God will take care of us. And I don't have explosive diarrhea, but I did have moderate diarrhea. I ate kale. It was from Illinois. I don't know. Have you guys heard of it? It's like a lot of it is coming out of Michigan, but they didn't say it was only Michigan. So, you know, it's the same region. So just, you know, trust, surrender, and move with grace. Continue to take proactive action, but don't be hyper neurotic and controlling in fear and scarcity. Don't shut down and try to control everything by, you know, denying your authenticity or your integrity, right? Move with grace. Move by being divinely directed and guided. And that trust and that certainty, that builds the strength of, or that trust and that surrender, it builds the strength of your certainty, because you remember, the more aware and awake and present you can stay through the storm, you remember how you were carried through it and that you survived it. All right. And if you go, you know, deep down into the basement through the storm and you don't see the magnitude of the storm and you don't experience the storm, then you never really know the full magnitude of what you just passed through, kind of thing, right? So don't hunker down too much. Do the inner work. And the more we heal and repair and like build that vessel, the greater vessel we are to channel that light through. All right, you all, that is all for today. So that is a Gregorian Cancer new moon, the Kabbalistic Leo new moon, and we are entering into the 9 days of Av, which represent the nine days leading up to the destruction of the temple, And every day during these 9 days, it is said that we should mourn and grieve that destruction of the temple. So when you see the brokenness of our world and you let your heart open and grieve over that, and you grieve over, you know, the brokenness that your ego has experienced and the results that have come from that, and you can really grieve that broken connection to the Creator, not what you went through, not what happened, but grieve what the separated connection from the Creator. And then at some point we value that connection more than we value being right. We just want that constant direct fulfillment of being attached to God. And then we realize by trial and error and pattern recognition, okay, when I go into this state, when I do these actions from a reactive place, that seems to sever my connection with God. And suddenly it feels like nighttime again. And when I can go through the pressure without responding in a reactive way and being in an affected state, and I can maintain higher consciousness and a consciousness of unconditional love and sharing, then I feel the mercy and the fulfillment of being in that daylight state. Because I'm under the wing of the Creator. I'm shrouded in the feathers. I'm in that vibrational space of flow. All right, that is all. I will see y'all tomorrow for our weekly alchemy message, where we are like unpacking the spiritual lessons of the week and our approach to how we're doing the work. All right, until then, peace.